everybody, and welcome to the next in the exciting series of technically Trek episodes where we predominantly talk Trek, technically, because every now and then the things will kind of take you off to the side, but hey, it is what it is. But anywho's, how's you been doing today, Katie?
I'm alive. Um, I'm in a lot of pain. I'm in the middle of a fibro flare. But I'm having a week off from my writing. Don't worry, my blog will still be out this week.
That's
But
good.
I'm catching up on my reading. So since Dangerous Thoughts on Sunday night, I have read 7 books. So
Ooh,
I'm
yeah.
catching up on my reading.
Yeah, I took a couple books with me to read on my during my high school reunion, but yeah, that kind of sort of didn't happen. I didn't even read my AA big book. So, yeah, but it is what it is. But anyways, anything else like exciting or Trek related before we start bringing in some of our peoples?
Well, nah, I merely watched next week's episode instead of tonight's episode. Um,
Whoops.
Yeah, I got very confuzzled. Um, but luckily, I realised the error of my ways. Um, yeah, I started watching Armageddon game instead of the shoe.
Okay, so it's Armageddon game tonight. The sh- Sorry, the shoot's gonna be next week's episode,
Yeah.
and then the episode after that, one of the best episodes from the second season of Next Generation, Elementary Dear Data. So that, and I'm still trying to figure out what the week after that is, but I'm going to start doing a better job of getting those lined up ahead of time up until the end of October when we start talking the new episodes of the final season of Lower Decks. That makes me sad to say they maybe Netflix will pick them up too down the road.
No, I depending on how Lower Decks end on whether they need to do another series or not. Because I mean, as much as I always love new Trek and I like a series to continue, sometimes there's not much more they can get out of it, or at the very least, not much more they can get out of it yet. Maybe after a few years break, they'll decide to do another season of it. But
Yeah,
the way
who
Lower
knows?
Decks has been going the last couple of seasons, I'm hoping that this final series will wrap up well.
Yeah, but
But
the pro
possibly
the
leave it open, because I mean, there's always room for new Trek, and
yeah,
especially if it's
but
animated, they can do so much more with it as well.
yeah, but when they put the fifth season in the can, they were expecting a season six, but after they were done, they're just that's it, you're done. So they kind of like did the way they did the teaser for season six, for season five. They said, "Oh, this is it. This is the last season." So they kind of wrapped it up like that. But we'll just have to wait and see what they got planned for season six. So
Yeah, I mean, it. I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes because I think that it is time that Lower Decks wraps up. As much as I love it, and viewers are really going to hate me for saying this, but
and Tyson's on the line now too. So
yeah, I know how much Tyson loves Lower Decks, and I love it as well. I didn't enjoy the last season as much as I did the others. There was a lot more episodes in it that I thought were very, yeah. I was really looking forward to the Voyager episode. I was so disappointed with that. It all just seemed put together rather than it flows. And that's when I start being a bit, yeah, it's time for it to wrap up now.
maybe that's an idea for the episode before the new season is we'll do a retrospect on season four. So there we go. We'll put that
Does
on the
that mean
table for later.
watch
So
four of Lower Decks again?
what?
Does that mean that I'll have to watch season 4 of Lower Decks again? Because I can barely remember anything of it.
Well, if you want, if you want to say, or just who knows what we'll get going. But how have things been going with you, Tyson, since Sunday?
Oh, really good. Huge fan of Lower Decks. And I don't know that I just like seasons more than, each other. There were certainly episodes within all the seasons that I thought were either really good or eh. But then I think about, look at The Simpsons. They've been on for 23 years, 23 seasons.
A lot longer than that. I think they're getting close to 30, I think.
30. Family Guy, American Dad. It's still funny. I can turn on American Dad now and watch it. Still funny. Bob's Burgers has been going for 10 years. I think that those kind of comedy cartoons, they can last a long time. There's a reason The Simpsons lasted so long. There's a reason Family Guy, American Dad, all these cartoons last for so long. I think they could keep it going for a long time, many seasons if they wanted to. And it could be funny and it could be entertaining and it could be so new and fresh every time. Because Lower Decks has all that Star Trek material that came before it, from the original, the movies, the DS9, Voyager. And they kind of, I don't want to say they make fun of it, but they reference all this material. So they got so much more they could do. I think it could go on for many more years. I'm sad to see it go.
I agree. And then, of course, Mala brings up the fact that The Simpsons actually got started on the Tracy Ullman show way back in the day, too.
So. I used to watch the Tracy Ullman show. Tracy Ullman always ended her show with, "All right, bye-bye. Now go home. Go home."
I love The Simpsons. I've always loved The Simpsons. I mean, one of my favorite episodes of The Simpsons even. One of my favorite episodes of The Simpsons is in the very early series, when Sideshow Bob frames Krusty for armed robbery. I love that episode because that is the start of something between him and Bart. Yeah, I really love that. I could talk about The Simpsons all day and night.
Now that Mala brought up the Tracy Ullman show, I'm thinking of the Gary Shandling show. That was another one that was contemporary.
Never even heard of that.
And it had the most unique opening. This is the theme to Gary Show, the opening theme to Gary Show. This is the music that you hear as you watch the credits. It was really funny because the song just kind of narrated the opening. It was hilarious. It was absolutely hilarious. Used to love it. Gary Shandling passed away a couple of years ago, sadly. One of the last things he was in was the Iron Man movie, where he had to pin the thing on Robert Downey Jr. and he pokes him and he goes, "God, something about how painful a little prick can be." He made that little comment. That was the last time we really got to see Gary Shandling. I loved him.
I forgot that was him.
Yeah, it was Gary Shandling.
Yeah, I completely forgot that was him. Although I've never heard of the Tracy Ullman show.
Right, and she was British.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that show. I've never heard.
I do believe it was an American show though. But yeah, the host was British, and they had intermissions, and they had I want to say the Simpsons were actually a commercial bumper. Like they would do a little Simpsons thing, and then they would go to commercial and come back and maybe finish the little Simpsons skit and then back to the Tracy Ullman show. So they were almost used like commercial bumpers.
No, when was this?
Oh, 80s.
90s.
80s.
Late 80s or late 90s.
I was born 87 and...
You were a baby.
Yeah, and growing up, I was more watching the original Marvel X-Men animations and Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, the Wombles. I love the Wombles.
Hey.
Okay, I looked it up, and it said it aired on Fox 1987. the Tracy Ullman
Yeah.
show.
Yeah,
April
it's
5th,
my
1987.
birth, so
Well,
I remember things
Katie's
from like
birthday.
way back before then, because they used to do reruns on BBC Two. I mean, things like How You've Been Served, and some others do have them. I remember things like that, but yeah, I don't know that show.
Did you hear Tyson? What day he said that it
April
premiered on
5th.
Fox?
April 5th, 1987.
That's my birthday.
So the very first Tracy Ullman show aired on Fox the day you were being born. And you missed it. I don't believe this.
I know. I was more interested in the fact that I was born on First Contact Day. So, I mean, there was a premonition that my mother must have had from the womb, that she had to give birth to me on that day so that I could be born on First Contact Day. And that was before First Contact. Was it mentioned in COS what date First Contact was?
I don't think so.
So yeah, there was like big premonitions about that. Because it was Star Trek First Contact that got me into Star Trek. So that was quite a coincidence. Not that I believe in coincidences. But yeah, so I had more important things on my mind than the Tracy Ullman show when I was born.
Well, Mala just mentioned a show that Tyson might remember. I sure remember. HR Puffin Stuff.
Never
Yes.
heard of it.
Yes. And if we start getting into the Bananaramas, then I'm out. So let's
let's not, because I remember that show too. So this is the
Let's not go
technically
that
portion of Technically Trek tonight, everybody. So let's jump into Armageddon game. And saying that's like a continuing series of our friendships between characters in different series. We did Bashir and Garrick last week. We're doing Bashir and O'Brien this week, even though the first like little matchup between the two of them was the previous season in the Storyteller. But I think they were just prepping the wick at that point. That's the first analogy I could think of in my head. And this episode lit the fuse, which turned out to be a growing relationship between Bashir and O'Brien for the rest of the series up until the series finale. But
I've always loved that friendship.
I wrote some notes on here too. And this is like the first introduction to the Kelleruns race as well as the T'Lani, but we didn't hear much of either of them until the last season of Discovery, when Raynor is from Kelleruns Prime. So they're all talking about T'Lani 3, T'Lani Prime, all that. They talk about the Kelleruns home planet until Discovery this past year.
Although I couldn't remember his name. I couldn't remember his name, but when I was watching Armageddon game earlier, it finished about 20 minutes before the show. The name of the species rang a bell, and so did the ears. And the only thing I could think was, that's the race of the dickhead from Discovery.
But the hairdo was so different with the big old.
Oh, thank God they did it. The 800 years of evolution and whatnot, they got rid of that hairstyle. They're just like, oh my God,
I mean, it was a look. It was a look.
Speaking of hairstyles,
it certainly suited the dickhead that was on that ship. Dickheadedness must run in the Kelleruns race. Going by like the one from Armageddon game, like the main one from Armageddon game, and then Knobhead from Discovery. I still can't remember his name.
What's that? The Raynor?
Yes, Raynor. That's the one. Yes.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It turned out to be okay.
I had to look that one up to say, what was his name? And that's like, there it is.
Yes, my dictionary's pouring off on a lot of you. So anybody watching this, if you start forgetting stuff, if you start finding an extra love of PJs, if you start getting your words all muddled up, walking into the wrong rooms, it's just because you've seen me on here. It's contagious highly.
But I mean, right off the bat, we can see the conflict that it's mostly all O'Brien, that he just like, I don't want to be here. This guy's annoying. I want to get away from him. And when Bashir started talking about all these attempts and finding ways of getting the harvesters, 374 attempts, blah 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 blah. It feels like we've been here a month. And O'Brien just said, if you keep grousing about it, we are going to be here for a month.
Isn't this the episode where this is really the episode where Bashir and O'Brien kindle that friendship that you see through the rest of Deep Space Nine, right?
Audio.
This is that catalyst.
Hey, Phil.
Have some audio.
Oh, you're getting some weird reverb on us?
Have some audio. There we go. Sorry about that.
That's okay. All right, so if you have YouTube open, that causes a weird little delay. I found that out on my first episode.
Yeah, I had the wrong audio coming through, so.
Yeah, it's all good. Welcome to the chat, Phil.
Thank you.
And so I'm still trying to figure out how to be able to click the button to open up everything without actually having to do one after the other. But
I don't know.
There we go.
I'm the Trek part of the technically Trek. Dave's the technical. I'm the Trek. Yeah.
But anywho, so I'm just looking at my notes here.
I haven't taken any notes. I'm so sorry. I'm a bad co-host. I have not taken any notes, but I'm struggling writing at the moment. So
I've seen the episode so many times that that one is in my head, and that's why I say I think that is the episode that kindles that O'Brien Bashir friendship that we see, throughout later episodes of DS9, especially when they go on their Hollow adventures, etc. But they really weren't friends prior to that.
Hmm. Yeah, Mala definitely brings up an interesting point because everyone references Keiko as Mrs. O'Brien, just being really formal and whatnot. Maybe it's because at the time we thought that Miles died. Same, but I guess there's a level of formality. But if they went that extra step, especially when Cisco went to their quarters, just like Mrs. O'Brien, Keiko. I think that could have added a little extra sympathy to the scene rather than
Cisco was the only one that called her Keiko.
What's that?
Cisco was the only one that called her Keiko. And that was when he went to inform her. Everybody else was all like Mrs. O'Brien, but the first time she was referenced was just after they'd watched the
recording.
Yes, what you said. Yes, recording. This is going to be a weird show, people. More so than normal, I'm afraid.
Oh, and Mola's definitely having a little bit of the fat finger syndrome tonight. So instead of typing, if you're able to, Mala, pop into the chat, the live chat with everybody else, and we don't have to see your typos. If you're able.
Just be thankful that Oscar's not typing, because I swear that he's trying to learn Welsh. I found one of the out. Oh yes, for reference, Oscar is one of Marla's foot, and he often likes to take over her keyboard. But no, with the things he types, I swear is learning Welsh.
You just reminded me. Where is my cat? Kitty, kitty, kitty.
The cat.
I don't know where my cat is. Well, I want to make sure. I want to make sure it didn't get out of the garage because Mike was going back and forth and had the door open.
Uh-oh, that would be not good. But yeah, at least no alley-oops or anything like that tonight because the bed's not behind him.
Yes, and as Marla has just said, Oscar is trying to teach Artemis.
But
I found found it. It was under the bed. It was all comfy under the bed, and I woke it up.
Oh, the bites will be coming in about 10 seconds.
What?
I was
Look
just
at
like,
you.
screw this.
She looks like she's shrunk.
Oh, she didn't shrink. Little fat thing.
No.
Sammy, welcome.
Hey, welcome.
You want to say hi? Meow. 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 What do you think of Star Trek? Oh. Not a fan.
Oh, okay, say that. Cut, gone.
Yeah,
No,
Callie usually agrees with me when it comes to Trek. We figured that out on the Twitter Spaces.
We were talking about DS9, Cat, not TOC. I know you don't like that. TOS. She doesn't like TOS either.
Exactly. This is what I mean. Callie is on the same track as me when it comes to Trek. She's got good taste.
No, but watching it again, I didn't even pick up on it before early on in the episode when Cisco's talking to Bashir and O'Brien. Cisco saying, "Have fun, go to the party, enjoy yourselves," and O'Brien says, "I really got to get back to the station. I got stuff to do." It's like, "Oh, one more day won't kill me," and it almost did.
I just find it so ironic how, the fact that Keiko was adamant that Miles does not drink coffee in an afternoon. And that was the whole reason why they started to investigate. And it turns out that he actually does. I find that so ironic, but I love that. She obviously thinks she knows her husband more than she does. And I love that.
I think everybody falls into that.
Yeah, I love this episode because of all the weirdness about it, the irony of it. And yeah, I do like that. Oh, hello, Mr. Husband. But one thing that I don't like about
he can't hear you.
The one thing that I don't like about this episode is the way things were handled. Because if they really wanted to, I'm not saying I agree with this, people. I'm not saying I don't agree with it either. I'm kind of neutral about it, but the way that they handled killing off everybody that knows anything about the harvesters, they could have handled that so much better to make sure that everyone was killed. But not that I'm condoning it, the DC family does not condone excessive homicide, but it could have been handled really well. And it could have been clean, and nobody would have been any the wiser. It was very sloppy on their part.
Well, and you bring up a good point because, let's say, I believe it was the T'Lani soldiers that were all shooting everybody, but Miles and Julian were wrestling with them, just kind of knocked them out with their rifles. I don't recall seeing them shooting many of them, but there's at least two. Just like, I don't think either of them shot him. They say, "Oh, they're all dead." It's like, okay, that must have been one hell of a punch to kill
them. They were very fragile aliens. Fragile species.
Talk about your glass jaw.
I've been anti-homicidal juice.
I've been hesitant on actually kind of jumping in tonight, just because I watched it this afternoon. I've had a really busy week, and I realized, oh crap, I've got to get through this, and I watched it. So my first impression on this was I didn't enjoy it near as much as I enjoyed last week's previous episode, for a number of reasons. I just I don't know how much I want to say. I understand, I guess, because it's been ages since I've seen the series. Somebody mentioned that this was the setup between the tension between Bashir and Miles. I guess they have this on-off tension. And I don't know why, but I felt like in the writing that felt a little bit forced. The dialogue felt a little bit forced. Bashir felt like a completely different character than what I saw on the previous and which was actually only 9 episodes later. This is only, I think, something like 9 or 10 episodes before the one we watched last week.
Yeah.
And I thought in 9 episodes, I feel like he became a very different character. The story, I almost guessed exactly what the plot was going to be within about 10 minutes. I thought, this is exactly what's going to happen. And it did exactly what was going to happen. But I don't know. I felt like just this wasn't as strongly written. I feel like there was a purpose to the episode, that it needed to be there, obviously, but it also just, I don't know, something felt very off. The whole episode felt a bit rushed. Even the sets felt a little bit lower budget, and I didn't. At first, I was wondering if they were even on a holodeck at the beginning, because that set in the lab or wherever they were working in just felt very artificial. I don't know. Maybe I've been spoiled lately with, I don't know. But I had a hard time kind of getting into this episode, and I didn't kind of enjoy it as much as the last week. Last week's I thought was great. The characters, the writing, the acting, I thought was so fantastic. But Bashir, just some of the lines he kind of said and the way he said them, and it just was a little cringy, and the way they made him kind of annoying at the beginning, which I understand he's supposed to be, so it created that tension. But it just, the whole dialogue just felt awkward and stiff, and so I had a hard time clicking with it. With this
definitely wasn't Spielberg's work. That we can say.
No, I know that.
One thing I will say though, I do agree with you, Phil, on quite a lot of what you've just said. However, if you was to watch the series from start to finish,
right,
you would see that a lot with Bashir. And that is Bashir's personality, actually. Don't get me wrong. I agree with what you're saying on the writing, and that it did feel a bit contrived in a way. But if you watch from the very beginning to the very end, Bashir is very up and down. Sometimes he can be so, even within one episode, he can be so strong.
Right.
But then, like, in other parts of the episode, it can say really stupid stuff. Is lost that strength to him. I mean, it's like in the very first episode, like the pilot episode of DS9, he was like really badly chatting up Jadzia. You know, he is. I mean, you know, I can imagine that's how my flirting would be if I tried, because I don't flirt. So if I tried, that's probably how mine would be. But then as soon as he turned into Doctor mode, he was a completely different person.
Right. And I saw that in the episode, actually, where I found that he was a little more interesting, is when he had to tell Miles to do something, and he was very like, no, you're doing this. I was like, wow, that was just a complete 180 in your personality.
No, that is actually Bashir's personality. He is completely different when he switches to Doctor mode. He can go from being blundering idiot to brilliant doctor in the snap of a finger. And that's what I've always actually liked about Bashir, because he is a bumbling buffoon. He is, you know, but in the blink of an eye, if he is needed as a doctor, that's it. He is completely different. It's almost like he's got a split personality in that sense. But no, it wasn't just the writing within the episode why he was like that. That is just him. I mean, if you notice, when he was saying to Miles, but they were talking about other things as well, like personal things, it was almost like with each sentence, it was almost like he was speaking as two different people. When he was talking about his personal life, it was a lot softer, it was a lot less articulate. But as soon as he said anything medical to Miles, or was getting Miles's attention, he was strong, he was focused, he was firm. And that was within the space of just switching sentences. But that is a very interesting part of Julian that I've always liked.
And Mala brought up an interesting point that he can be tactically decisive because he's hiding his genetic enhancements.
Exactly.
But I mean, that was like long before they even came up with that idea that he was an augment. So
it seems I knew that, but I'd forgotten that he was supposed to be that he was supposed that he was supposed to be genetically enhanced. I don't know. Yeah, it seems I forgot that point about him.
And his name wasn't even Noonien Soon.
But the word that I used a lot in my notes was uncharacteristic. And saying so, I mean, when the T'Lani burst into the lab, they're shooting everybody. He went into like warrior mode almost, just tackling them, wrestling the guns away from them, trying to stop them from shooting everybody. So it's not just like doctor mode. I mean, he is like all-American hero mode, sort of.
Yeah.
I use the term loosely, since we've got 3 countries represented here tonight.
And considering he was British, you know. But yeah, let's call him all-American. I'm okay with that.
But yeah, I did feel like, though, that coming back into this and just jumping into this episode, that I feel like I was wondering if there was something more about these have these aliens been in it before? Were they in it again a little later? Like, I don't remember them. It seems I've seen them before. Like, they must have shown up in other episodes. And I'm trying to remember.
They showed up
in and everything.
They showed up in the most recent Discovery. The first officer of the Discovery, what's his name? The Vulcan. Raynor was from that planet, from this episode.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Yeah, he was telling him, but between this episode we're talking about and that episode, not a peep about that race.
Oh, all right. Okay. Just okay.
But
yeah,
then
I
again,
felt
they
like I
talk.
was missing some details, and I wasn't sure if it was just me, because it was still a very kind of one-off episode. It wasn't like I didn't think it was like part of an arc or anything. So yeah, so it was.
Hey, bud.
What the hell are you doing to that cat?
She likes doing acrobats. Don't you? You never leave me alone when I'm on camera. What? All right, away you go.
But
right back.
The ambassadors, they you gotta wonder how much if they knew exactly what was going to happen, because Sherratt left just minutes before they shot up the place. So is he fully complicit in the conspiracy from the get-go? Did he get read into it later on? But regardless, the two of them, they were just their best poker face, just like, yeah, there was a terrible accident. Here's the recording that we forged, but we're not going to tell you that. But yeah, the fact that Keiko picked up on the fact saying, my husband doesn't drink coffee at 3 p.m. It'll keep him up all night, even though they're on a 26-hour schedule on DS9.
There was something else, actually, if I could mention. And again, I'm not sure if it's just the writing or maybe I missed something in that scene. But when Sisko comes in and tells her that, Miles is dead. I mean, she's obviously in shock. You would be. I guess I thought, oh my God, we're going to see this scene where he has to tell her this is going to be awkward and she's going to completely lose it. But she didn't. Like, there was almost something like, and I don't know if this is just in the writing, the directing, or what, she seemed kind of withheld. And I don't know if she completely believed it or not. Like there was a sense that also like she's not. It's like he tells her this, but it's almost I don't know if there's something internally whether she's not accepting that news or she knows something's not right, because I expected more of an emotional reaction. I thought, oh, this is going to be a tough scene, and then it didn't. I didn't get the reaction that I sort of expected, but I was wondering if she maybe knew something wasn't right, and that's what made her go back and look at the footage, because maybe she just didn't want to accept it at first. I don't know. I'd have to see the scene again. Something happened here when that scene happened, and I got distracted in that moment, but I kind of went back and watched it again. But
Keiko reacted exactly how I knew she would react.
Yeah.
She, as emotional as she is very calm. She is very logical. I swear somewhere down the road she's part Vulcan. But she isn't, she is human, but she has got that calm logic behind her, and a lot of botanists do, to be quite honest. I've known a few of them, and they all remind me of Keiko. But no, she is very calm and logical, and even though she took the news a lot better than a lot of people would have thought, it didn't surprise me at all. You could see the internal battle within her. You could see the storm raging.
And the camera focus is all on her, with Cisco just a blur in the background. When Cisco dropped it was still blurry. So I mean, the props to the production team on that shot.
But no, she is one of these people. I mean, she's. It's like what Julian was saying, and this kind of goes with Keiko's reaction. They sign up for Starfleet. Their partners don't, their families don't. Whether you are chief of operations, tactical officer, captain, or doctor, you're basically signing up to the military. That is basically what you are doing when you are joining Starfleet. And especially, I mean, not so much if you're grounded, if you're on Earth, working in the facilities there, but if you're on a ship or a space station and you're going on missions, you're working with dangerous things, your family are preparing for the worst news every single day. It's like if you've got a loved one in the army or the Marines or even the police force, when they come home at the end of the day, the relief that will go through your family when you return home safe at the end of every day will be so profound. But every day that your family is waiting for your superior officer to walk through that door and say, I'm sorry, there's bad news. But no, Keiko's reaction was on point for who Keiko is.
Something she did decide to go back and look at the footage. I had to, and for her to kind of watch it that closely to pick up on the fact that Miles was drinking coffee. There must have been something that made her, I don't know, maybe it was just curiosity that moment that she wanted to see it. I don't know, but I know she wasn't completely satisfied that I don't know, maybe I'm reading into it too much, but just
it was her closure.
Yeah,
because I mean, when she saw what he was doing, she went in to check the replicator records to see what he ordered, and he's like, no, it's got caffeine. He does not drink caffeine at 3 p.m. And saying, "Oh, keep him up all night." But of course, at the end of the episode, when he said, "Can you give me some coffee?" and she's like, "You don't drink coffee at this time of the day." It's like, "Of course I have." And she's like, "What?"
Well, yeah, this is what I mean. Like the irony of the situation, you know. I mean, she was watching her husband's last moments. As soon as he took a sip of coffee, she's just like, "Whoa, that's not his last moments."
Yeah.
You know, something is not right here. You know, it. That was a good pickup from her, and she would have been watching that, not believing, you know, that it was true that her husband had died. You know, she would have been watching that, hoping it was all just a prank. They'd got it wrong. Maybe it wasn't even him, you know. And then she sees him drink that coffee with the time index of like what, almost 3:30, and she's just like, "It's fake. He's not dead." And it turned out, you know, he does drink, like you said, he does drink coffee in an afternoon. But I would have loved to have seen her watching that. I think that's one thing that they didn't do right in this episode, is Keiko watching that, like, for the first time.
That crossed my mind too. I thought it would be interesting to have her actually sit down and watch that, maybe just as you said, maybe to get closure for whatever reason, and have her reaction. Like, I kind of had to wonder if maybe they shot it and they left it out for time or whatnot. But yeah, I was kind of surprised they didn't depict that she just sort of came back afterwards.
But when she's watching it, you see, I find it a little bit. Now, I don't know if this is just because I've seen that many episodes with similar things to this, but I really do believe that what they should have done in this episode was have Keiko sit down and watch it, and her being really emotional watching it, but then have a sudden realization and her face just drop, then switch straight to Cisco's office where they're watching it again, and then have people apologize to her and like, "Oh, I'm so sorry about what happened to Miles," and stuff like that when she's on her way out. You know, that would have been a lot more effective than the way that they actually did it.
Sure. Yeah.
Hey, apologies for any background noise you guys are hearing. I got 2 extra children running around in the house right now, so they're playing with the other 2 kids. So just like
I haven't picked up on anything so far, so
well, that's good. I guess this headset is better at noise canceling than I thought. But they were just screaming outside my door. I'm just like, like.
Nah, kids are kids. Womb gremlins.
But I'm saying that, and when the Cisco, Dax, Kira, and Odo all watched the video, say essentially that's the only scenes Kira and Odo had in the entire episode. And again, time constraints, it would have been nice to see Odo kind of poke around and do some investigating. You disagree, Katie?
That was the only scene Odo was in, not Kira. She was also in another scene, and that was when Keiko was on her way
on the ship, on the ship, yeah.
Yeah, because she was talking to Keiko, apologizing for Miles' death.
Yeah. Well, I always say apologize. It's just expressing remorse. But I think would be a better term to use.
Yeah.
That's funny, when I watched that scene where they're watching it and the way Odo kind of steps around to the side and they zoomed in on him, I really thought in that moment he was going to pick up on something more, that at that point then he was going to be a little more involved, since he is the security officer and he has stronger observational skills, perhaps. But I really thought at that moment he was going to be a little more involved, and then he wasn't. And I was kind of surprised by that, because just the way that scene was shot, that he came around, I really thought he was going to step in and point out something or find something more, and that he was going to be a little more involved in that investigation. But
I thought he was going to go with that.
Yeah, we got the little doggy this time. He was getting jealous that the kitty was getting the attention.
And he's just like, quit kissing me.
Yeah.
All right. By the way, my bed is over here. I'm not just tossing animals
All right.
onto the floor or anything. That's where the bed is. You can see there.
Whoops. And we just lost.
Can't see anything now.
I think the cat just bit through the cord.
And Tyson is disconnected. Oh, bless him.
It's ocular action, so I think one of the fur babies hit something.
Yeah, never mind.
We'll wait for he'll come back.
But no, I actually thought that Odo was going to go with Dax and Cisco to retrieve the Ganges.
Oh yeah.
I would have thought that would have been appropriate.
Sure.
Rather than just a science officer and the captain.
There you are, Jason.
Yeah, I fixed my camera. There, you can see the bed right there. That's where I'm tossed. They're just getting chucked right over to the bed. Because, from just this angle, if you see me toss a cat, I don't want the ASPCA to raid my house or anything.
No worries.
Hold on.
Hakuna Matata.
That's just brought up an interesting point, and I'm really glad that Phil brought up about Odo. Isn't it Starfleet regulation that a security officer goes on away missions?
He's not Starfleet, though.
Yeah, but still, they are working in collaboration.
Oh.
And they're working under Starfleet jurisdiction.
Right, but
the fact that Cisco was going on this away mission, even though it was only retrieval, he is the commanding officer, and he only went with a science officer. Now, going by everything, I mean, just the fact that Odo likes to get to the bottom of things, I would have thought that he'd have gone. But
yeah, usually,
Starfleet regulation, they should have had at least one security officer with them, whether it be Odo or part of his security team who possibly Starfleet.
Right. Yeah. I mean, even though Odo might be chief of security, there's lots of Starfleet security personnel, and any of them could have gone. So that's a good point.
Mala says he's a contracted employee.
Well, yeah, but he does have Starfleet officers, security officers working under him, as well as
Bajoran.
So
he's enlisted in the Bajoran security forces, but whether I mean, he wears the Bajoran
uniform. He does have Starfleet personnel working with him, so technically, no, Kira's not in a security position. She's first officer.
And
his title, she's in Command Red.
Is his title Chief Security or is it Constable?
Yeah. It's Constable was like a cute nickname he was given, but he is Chief of Security.
Isn't he Chief of Security for the station?
Yes, he is. But he also has Starfleet and Bajoran personnel working under him.
Right.
And as far as I'm aware, now we'd probably need Travis for this, because, I always call him Rain Man when it comes to Trek. But as far as I'm aware, according to Starfleet protocol, especially if the commanding officer is on an away mission, they have to take a security officer with them.
That is true. I have to look up the word constable. I don't see that's in the U.S. I don't think we have a lot of law enforcement that are constables. We have deputies.
No. That's not his official title. Odo's official title is Chief of Security of the station.
He is Chief of Security, yes.
It was given by the Cardassians.
I'm sorry. I didn't clearly restate what I was saying. Separate from our current discussion, I just started thinking of the term constable, and I realized that in the U.S. we don't use that term very much. You know, we have deputies, we have police, we have marshals, but we don't really have constables. And I'm wondering if that's a British thing. Yeah, because I know the Brits have constables.
We did in Canada.
You have constables in Canada?
Canada, yep.
You also have Mounties, which we don't have here.
Yes. That's very unique to Canada, though.
Yes.
Yeah, the Mounties are very unique to Canada, but the fact that they also have constables within their police force, that is quite British.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Like in Britain, do you guys have sheriffs? Or is sheriffs a United States thing? In Britain, do you have sheriffs?
No. That is a US thing.
That's a US.
But no, we have constables, sergeants.
Oh, that's true. Mala pointed out the sheriff of Nottingham.
Yeah, we don't have them anymore.
No.
They are like a very ancient thing. As far as I'm aware, we don't have them, but we have like chief of police. We have DCIs. You know.
What is Scotland Yard? Are they police or are they investigators? I don't know.
Basically, Scotland Yard are the top end of the police force. That is basically, if you was to think of Starfleet, that's like headquarters, basically, Scotland Yard.
I got a picture of it when I was there. In London.
But yeah, it's in London, and you know where I do not live.
You have to keep reminding Manu you don't live in London.
Yeah, I can't stand the place. Oh, hello, Mr. Husband. And that's where I think a lot of the special units are, like the armed units and like firearms units and things.
Isn't it called New Scotland Yard now?
Pardon?
Isn't it called New Scotland Yard?
I honestly don't know.
I saw a sign that said New Scotland Yard. But
it's been that for God knows how long, but people just call it Scotland Yard.
Okay. It's like New York it's not that new. It's been around for a couple hundred years. All right.
Yeah, exactly. But no, yeah, Scotland Yard is like the everything branches out from there, but that's where a lot of the a lot of the specialized units are, like the firearms units, and a lot of the top investigative teams are. I don't know a lot about it because I really couldn't give a shit about the police, but that's what I do know.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mala's cracking me up. She says when she comes on, she'll be Yeoman Red Shirt.
No,
that actually
not a reference.
That actually reminds me of something, and I just mentioned this super quick, and I don't want to jump off topic because I only want to stay on the series.
Oh, yeah, we're already
really into
off
like
topic.
science. What's that?
We're already kind of diving off topic.
It reminded me of something. I watched something this week, and if you really like the deep science fiction, I just watched actually the Three Body Problem this week, the first season.
The name rings a bell.
It's a slow burn, but if you're into like the slow methodical sci-fi that's actually based in like real science, it's really, really interesting. It's really good. Katie, I'm sorry, a chunk of it does take place in London. But
no, that's absolutely fine. I mean, just the
really
title of the show, Three Body Problem. Oh my God, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I'm smart enough to, you know, work out the Three Body Problem. You know, I'm not that intelligent. I can follow it, but
The science
just love
fascinates
watching
me.
it.
I'm not that bright either, but the science of that whole thing has always fascinated me. That kind of thing, even though I can't do math to save my life. So, but it's, even if you don't know it, it was so well written. It's really, I recommend it. It's really good if you get a chance.
One of the things that I think Star Trek was unique when it started in the 60s was Roddenberry worked with NASA, and he tried to say, look, I know this is science fiction, but when you look at Buck Rogers and all the others, they had these chemical burning rockets that were interstellar, and that made no sense. So he's like, how theoretically could we go faster than light? What might a ship like that look like? Even the transporters, though he went on to say that part of the reason he came up with it is he couldn't figure out how to land a ship like that. But even that was based on, converting matter to energy, energy to matter, the E equals mc squared. I mean, a lot of Star Trek is techno babble bullshit, but a lot of it too is based on science, far more than some of its predecessors had been.
Well, yeah, like the holodecks, when whether it be Trek, the Orville, or anything else that has any form of like holodecks or holo simulators, those type of simulations are theoretically possible. With enough advancements, we could have holodecks like that. It is theoretically possible if we achieve that level of tech. And the medical tricorders and, just other certain things that they have are very theoretically possible. I mean, the comm badges, we've practically got that.
We're almost there. The little tap and yeah.
But there are some things that are questionable.
Oh, sure. We're not going to get it all 100% right, but the fact they were going in the right direction, the whole thing of the flip thing to talk into, we've had flip phones and.
But I mean, look at other things that talk about the future, like Back to the Future, which I love that movie. I love it. But the only thing they got right in the future was the flat screen TV. Everything else was crap.
That one was, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but Trek is all about possibility, and Marla's just said, and iPads, flip phones were based on the communicators. Oh, Marla's just put that up as well. The flip phones were based on the TOS communicators, and the iPads and tablets, what we have now, even right down to our phones, they were based on Trek tech, basically. So some of those things have become reality, and one day, I believe, probably not in our lifetime, let's face it, or even the next generation's timeline, but within a few generations, I do believe that holodecks will be possible. Well,
I agree.
And the human race hasn't cut the ass or a slap across the face and learns not to be greedy buggers and not to carry on accumulating wealth and, start living to help their fellow man, then, maybe things like that would be possible. But until then, I don't think it would be possible.
On the other hand, look at what they got wrong. Like the computer was also Majel Barrett's voice, even in the original. And this is how she talked,
Was it in the original?
Yes, Majel Barrett.
All the way through. Yeah.
Voice. It was always her. And in the next gen, she had a natural voice. But it was her doing the computer voice. Yes. In the original.
Yeah.
Back when she was Nurse Chapel, right?
Yeah.
And memory banks and tapes. They had these big cartridges that were tapes. Like, we moved away from that in the 90s. Like, it's funny to look at what they got wrong. You saw Uhura under the thing working on, circuit boards that weren't even solid state, and we've had solid state since the 60s, but you saw tubes and other it was some things were old fashioned
thing in the air.
Bluetooth or hers communicator.
Yeah.
Of course, it's not big and bulky as hers, but still, the technology was dreamt up there long before it
Yeah.
came to pass.
Somebody made a really good point about the bulkiness aspect of it. Now, this is true because if you look at soldiers out on the field when they're communicating with each other that are involved in wars overseas, they've still got these big things to speak into, their walkie-talkies. So depending on your tech and what you're, so you never know that in the military you still might need something larger than usual for its purpose, and it has to be heavier duty and it needs to have more range and be stronger than the normal stuff we have, right?
My iPhone is much smaller, lighter. It does 1,000,000 times more than this thing.
Yeah.
But this thing will save my life if, satellites go down and power goes out and cell phone towers go out. This will still work. This won't.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But as well, you look at the size of our phones now. I had a manual, press the buttons 1,000 times to get one letter kind of manual phone. I've actually still got one somewhere. I showed it to Cassie and some of the other DT lot on Discord one night. I think he was on there as well, Dave. I've got a phone that is about that big. It's white and I think the back of it's red or orange. I can't remember. And it's a manual phone. And it's color screen. It's got the internet, but it's half the size of this.
Oh yeah, these. There was a thing about how tiny they can make cell phones. Even my watch is a cell phone. It works independently of my iPhone. So this is how tiny a phone can get. They only started getting big again because people, now that they're smartphones and they have screens that are interactive, now they're starting to get bigger again because bigger is better, right? They want them bigger, bigger. But before phones were smartphones, it was all about how tiny could they make them and still be a working phone. And again, this, if I were to take the band off of this, just this little bitty piece is a cell phone. I mean, it's a cell phone. It's a cell phone. I can text, I can type, I can surf the net all on this little bitty thing.
Can you connect that watch to a Bluetooth device to take a phone call as well?
No, my point is I can turn this telephone completely. Yeah, I mean, it is connected to my phone. The watch and my phone are connected, but it has an independent cellular frequency. So if this phone were to get smashed and destroyed, this still works as a telephone in its own right without needing to connect to my phone.
But no, she's like, can you Bluetooth to the phone itself? So you're not
I can Bluetooth to the phone.
Talking like this, like in the motion picture.
Yeah. Yes. It also connects via Bluetooth so that the phone and the watch communicate unless the phone is off.
No, can you connect your earphones to your watch to make a call?
I think so. Like my earbuds, can I connect it to my watch?
Yeah.
I believe
to make a
so.
phone call.
My friend has one with his Apple Watch. It can, yeah.
Yeah, and your Apple Watch can connect to your Bluetooth earpiece. Mm-hmm. You can talk via your watch instead of via your phone. Yeah,
absolutely.
You see, I like that because because of my hearing, I struggle speaking on a phone like this, so I've got to have my earphones in.
I also have the old-fashioned. If I want to take 10 minutes to untangle,
just like left Mitch.
Yeah. But no, it's not so bad with the volume coming through my TV because I can turn that up and I'm used to sound coming out of my TV, but for some reason it just doesn't work on my I have to have sound in both ears.
Right.
But no, so much of our tech now has come out of Star Trek, and
in one way or another, yep.
Well, yeah, and I do believe that other tech that is from Star Trek can be possible, like the holodecks. I mean, I would love to input one of my favorite books into a holodeck program and be part of it.
Can I ask you guys a quick quiz question?
Hmm?
Although in the motion picture, which was from 78, I believe, 77, 78,
79.
Yeah.
79. Sorry, stupid radio.
I think.
They did have a wrist device that they talked into, a communicator. But what sci-fi TV show made talking to a watch popular?
Dun, 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 dun. Oh.
You guys know?
Was it Get Smart?
No, that was a shoe phone.
That was a shoe phone.
Right. I thought he had a wristwatch. So
He may have had
maybe
a wristwatch, but I mean, in almost every episode, this person talked into their watch.
Man from U.N.C.L.E.?
Usually it was to his smart car.
Oh, was it?
Knight Rider.
Yeah.
Knight Rider. Yeah.
Okay.
Remember, he always talked to Kit on his watch. Or
I was thinking like late 70s, not early 80s sci-fi.
well, that really made it, and it was like, it was like a Casio calculator watch, but still, it was,
Yeah, I completely forgot about that. Oh, I miss Knight Rider. I don't like David Hasselhoff, though.
See, he follows me on Twitter.
I like him all right. Well, when he's not high trying to eat a cheeseburger in an event, but yeah, it's.
Yeah, he only follows about 10% of the people that follow him, so I'm just like, yeah.
Honestly, not that he ever would, because I'm not following him, but if he started following me, I'd remove him as a follower.
I mean, Corin Nimick follows me, but anyway.
Lucky.
You see, now that follow, I would love.
Actually, no,
I would love for Corin to follow me, because, he is a wonderful person. But no, the only celebrities that follow me is Manu and 2 authors, as far as I'm aware, Patricia Cornwell and Celia Reese. I love Patricia Cornwell. I love her books. But
I would have to go back to my verified followers and look and see if there's anybody that I don't know. And most of it, I have to be honest, most of the high profile followers who follow me is only because of Manu and Dangerous Thoughts. We've had Corin Nimick on, and so I had all his contact information, and I think that's why we traded follows. It's not because if it weren't for the show, he wouldn't know who the hell I was and would not be following. So,
but no, I'm one of these people where, as much as I feel very fortunate, very blessed, very honored to meet these high-profile people, I've been to Comic-Cons, I've been to other conventions, I've met a lot of people, but I'm very neutral about the situation. If one of them started following me, I'd be like, "Oh, nice one. That's really nice of them." I wouldn't get my panties in a twist about it, kind of thing,
Watch this. What would you do if William Shatner followed you?
I'd block him. And I wouldn't tell you what I'd say to him before I blocked him neither, because I don't think Dave wants that language on his show.
Yeah. No, but seeing
F you and the tribble you wrote in on.
That'd be too nice, unfortunately.
One other person that follows me, before we get back on track to the actual episode we're talking about, Christopher Judge's wife follows me back on Twitter. See, I follow him, but he doesn't follow me. But Mrs. Chris Judge follows me on Twitter.
Who's he?
What's that?
Who's he?
Teal.
Who's Chris Judge?
Teal on Stargate.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I'm just used to seeing his full name. That's all. Sorry.
Christopher Judge, but Mrs. Gianna, I think is how. Yeah, which is Mrs. I am Chris Judge. And so yes, she follows me. So yay. But going back to the episode, I think probably one of the best scenes out of all of it is when Dax and Kira are sitting in at Quark's, and Dax is saying that Julian lent her his journals from his medical school days, but she hasn't gotten around to reading them, and was thinking about giving it to Julian's parents. But Kira says, I think he would want you to keep them. I thought, hey, that was a touching moment. But then when Quark, uncharacteristically, using that word again, brought drinks on the house to say they were great customers, they pay their bills on time. And of course, Kira's just like, really, Quark? And we lost
It was a
Tyson again.
good scene.
But the rule of acquisition number 57:
Yeah.
treat your customers like your close friends like platinum. Treasure them. I just like that was like
I think he meant well.
exactly. No, Clark.
My cat got to the back of my computer and swatted my camera wire.
Again.
I can't with her.
Yeah, she's thinking. Yeah, she says, "Quit talking to those people. Pay attention to me."
This is the back of the computer. You can see the floor here, and then this is where all the wires are. And she comes back here during the day when I'm working, and she'll, sometimes it's my monitor that goes out, or all of a sudden I can't hear anything, and then, she's pulled the speaker wire out. I've had to replace 2 wires that she just chewed up, which I'm surprised she didn't National Lampoons herself, right? Poof.
Okay, I have so many issues with everything that I have just seen, Tyson. First of all, you need wire tidies. Second of all, oh my God, how does anything work with how you've got that all hooked up? And 3, Marla has just made a very good point, because this is supposed to be the Callie show.
This is a radio that it's the monitor, and then that little bitty thing is a computer, and then this is a radio. And so there are so many wires hooked up to that radio.
Yeah, but you need to tidy them up. You need one of those gathered together cable whatchamagoos.
Yeah.
I believe that's the
wire tidy. Oh, that's what we
call
the
technical term. That's the Katie term.
However,
hold on. I almost caught the culprit too. She ran under the bed.
There is something that I want to bring up. I've put it in the comments in the live chat on YouTube. When Dax and Kira were having the conversation about Julian's journals, Dax was saying about some of the things that were in them, about his fears, and like his fears of failure and this, that, and the other. How the hell did she know that that was the content of them if she never got around to reading them?
Perhaps that's what Julian described them as when he said, "Here are my thoughts and whatever."
She did briefly have an interest in him, didn't
Julian.
she? Didn't Julian and Dax have a on again, off again, more than a friend?
No.
Ezri Dax, yeah, but say Julian and Jadzia saying, yeah, Julia just kept on chasing Jadzia, but they never really consummated anything.
Oh, I'm not saying not so much
one-sided.
Yeah, it was definitely one-sided. Got you little shit. You're the one who did the wire.
They did become like really good friends, but no, it doesn't seem like Julian to give all his medical journals to Jadzia and reveal the contents of them. He may have turned around and said, no, it's not about fantasies of women. It's just all about me at medical school, but this will give you a better understanding as to who I am and where I came from. Him telling her all of that doesn't really sound like Julian. This is why I agree with Phil, and I think Marla as well, about the writing of this episode. It was a little bit all over the place. just some things were just a little bit off to me. I don't know. I can't really put my finger on it because I love this episode. I do, because it is the start of the really close bond between Miles and Julian. I adore their friendship. I always have done. And I love how it developed, and it basically took like one of them dying to like solidify that friendship and for them to be trapped on an alien world. And it quite upsets me that it had to come to that for them to get so close. But at the same time, I think that's the only way it could have happened. And I like that. And I think Miles and Julian are very good for each other. They complement each other so well, even though they are two very different people. It's like Geordie and Data, you know, they are two completely different people, and yet they become the best of friends.
My favorite character on all of DS9, though, has got to be Garrick. I don't know why, I'm drawn in by Garrick. Everything, I mean, the actor who portrays Garrick, the character himself, the mystery. I mean, in one episode, he can go from being, you know, honorable and self-sacrificing to screw you, I'm going to live, you guys can die. Like all in one episode. Like he's very contradicting. You know, did he work for the Obsidian Order? Well, later we found out his father was the head of it. So kind of, yeah. But then, you know, in the early episodes, he teases about being a spy, but then counters that, you know, if I was a spy, do you think I'd be here? You know, I don't know. I had so much fun with him. And I think he and Julian had a good relationship. I mean, we keep talking about, I know because of this episode, Julian and Miles, but I love that relationship between Julian and Garrick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was last week, the episode you missed. So,
Elim. That was his first name, right?
Yeah. But no, one thing that I said it last week, and I'll say it again. The friendships in Trek are one of my favorite elements of all Trek, because they're real. They're portrayed very realistic. It's not all sunshine and roses. It's not friendship through rose-tinted spectacles. You know, they have their ups and downs. They have the disagreements. That they go without talking sometimes. You know, some of them have even come to blows. But that's all part and parcel of friendship. And I hate all of these shows where friendships are I'll leave
your
it
camera's your camera sense you're being intimate, so it's like whoop.
Yeah, it seems to just know.
I hope my camera doesn't do that. You'll see all my pores.
Oh, don't. Honestly, I've had so many breakouts recently because of stress, and I won't even tell you how
I get that.
My nose. But yeah, the friendships in Trek are portrayed very, very realistically. And I love that, because friendship isn't smooth. It is not. No relationship is. And all of these shows that have friendships that are all like, oh yes, but this is how I feel, and how do you feel about this? And it's like, oh my God, just no, don't. That is not what friendship is.
Yeah.
I don't sit there with my best friend and be like, sir, how do you feel today, Lou? You know, I didn't even do anything. You know, we don't talk like that. You know, yeah, we'll ask how each other are, but I'll say stuff to her like, calm yourself down or I'll come over there and I'll slap you to calm down. You know, that's the type of things we say to each other as best friends. You know, and just the way that things are portrayed on Trek are more realistic. With the ups and downs, they allow arguments.
I think that's what made when they started doing Next Generation. I think that's what really made it stand out and stand apart from, say, because at that time there was only the original series. So and it was all very, the original series was all very Kirk and Spock centric. There was very few episodes that were based on anyone else, so we never really got a sense of the relationship of the other characters with each other. And I think Shatner had a little to do with that too, because he wanted to make it the Shatner show. But I think they had more freedom to explore that in the Next Generation. So we got episodes that was more about separate characters and being stuck in situations together and how they dealt with it and how their personalities clashed and how they would become friends and how there was tension, and they got to explore that more throughout the series. It didn't all have to be about Picard. It didn't have to be necessarily about the main captain. Most of them were, but they began to explore that. And I think as the other series, as Deep Space Nine come up and Voyager, they started even doing that even more. So we have these stories that are about the other characters, and I appreciated that more as the time went on, that they were able to do that. They could spend more time with the other characters and show what was happening in their lives. And it got you more involved with it, got you deeper into the series. It got you more connected with those characters and to understand them better, and why a secondary character can have a fan following sometimes, right? That because you got to see them, understand them, and identify with them better. And this episode, I think, was actually a good example of that in that respect. You got two awkward people that had to come together and they clashed, right? So that created that tension.
Well, often, you make a good point. Often it's not the main star. It's that either comic relief or that interesting character or that one that isn't considered, a main. When you think of Star Trek TOS, it's William Shatner, right? But Spock got all the fan mail.
He did, yes. But it annoyed the hell out of Shatner, though.
Right. He got all the fan mail. In Next Generation, it was Data. Like everybody loved Data.
Yeah.
It wasn't the Picard show. It was Data. Mm-hmm. And you look at the different ones. Even going all the way back, Katie loves this show too, and I do too. Are You Being Served is one of my favorite British shows. Me too. And it was never about Captain Peacock or any of the main character. It was always between Mrs. Slocum and her pussy.
Yep.
Her cat. And Mr. Humphreys, right? Mr. Humphreys he stole the show. And at first, when they did the pilot, the execs at the BBC said, get rid of the poof. But they didn't want, they didn't even think he would be good for the show. Turned out he was everybody's favorite person on the show.
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't know. Yeah.
So I love how these secondary and even tertiary characters that aren't really supposed to be that important are the ones that steal the show. I love it. Mm-hmm.
The thing is, though, so many people, or was it? No, that can't happen. What was I saying?
I want to hear more about Bat Katie.
That's when her camera just flips her upside down for no rhyme or reason.
Yeah, Cassie has named me Bat Katie for that. But what was I going to say? Yeah. I completely forgot what I was going to say. No, thanks, Marla. No, what Dave was saying about the tertiary. Oh yeah, Worf wasn't supposed to stay on. Worf wasn't supposed to be a character at all. He was supposed to get killed off instead of Tasha. Because some people didn't want a Klingon on the bridge of the flagship. Because there was supposed to be a war with the Klingons and all this crap.
They were supposed to be the villain, yeah.
But Gene, it's okay, Marla. But Gene Roddenberry was just like, no, Worf is staying. And then, especially because Denise wanted to leave because they were going to basically send Tasha to nowhere. There was going to be no real character development. They ended up killing Tasha off instead of Worf, and Worf ended up getting almost as much of a fan base as Data.
You know, and Denise Crosby, you're right. She wanted it off the show, and you know, perhaps. And remember, this is very early. There was no guarantee that the show was going to be a success. She had other things lined up. She thought she could do better. You know, in retrospect, she may, you know, she may be kicking herself now, saying, oh, you know, maybe I should have stayed. You know,
no, she's not. She is more than happy because basically she went to Gene herself. She went straight to him. She bypassed everybody else and basically said, look, is Tasha Yar's character going anywhere? Is there going to be character development? Is she going to become an integral part, or is she just going to carry on as she is now? And he basically said, just as she is now. And she said, I want out of the show then. And he released her because she'd spoken about leaving a few times, but he actually allowed her out of her contract so that she could go on to do other things rather than keeping her in the 7-year contract.
Yesterday's Enterprise, was that the one that had her in the sea?
Yeah, where they
remember.
brought.
Yeah, she was brought back for you know,
for
other
three
episodes.
other episodes. I think it was Yesterday's Enterprise, and then the dual episode with the Romulans, where she was the daughter of Tasha.
She was also brought back
the Spock episode
for All Good Things.
The Spock episode.
Unification.
No,
Not,
she was
not unification, but the. She was in unification in the second part.
I thought so, yeah.
Yeah, but she was also brought back for the was it All Good Things? The double episode at the very that ended Next Gen. She was brought back for that as well, because even though there were scenes from Encounter at Farpoint,
oh yeah,
there was also other scenes that she came back for.
Okay.
But
that's right. I didn't think about. You're absolutely right. I did not know about Unification Part 2. I didn't know she was in that, so that's new to me. Thank you. But now that Katie, you mentioned it,
the half Romulan as well, supposed to be her daughter or something.
Yeah, that's the one I knew about. That was a 2-part episode. She was in both, and she was in Yesterday's Enterprise. I knew about those. I'd forgotten about All Good Things. Because, she would have had to go back and reshoot some of those scenes. So you're right. All Good Things. I did not know she was in Unification Part 2. That's one that I did not realize.
But no, she didn't like the way her character was, basically. And she wanted out. She didn't want to carry on playing a character that wouldn't develop, that was just stood there saying the same thing over and over again and not really having a proper part in the show. And that's basically all Tasha Yar was ever going to be. So she said that she wanted out. And luckily, Gene was really nice about it and said, I completely understand. This isn't the first time you've spoken about leaving because of these kind of problems. So I will let you out of your contract. Because under the contract that they were all in, even if they left, they were still under that contract and couldn't work.
Oh.
So she was let out of her contract so that, and she even said that Gene was really nice about it.
If I ever got a part on any Star Trek and I had a contract, I would just be, I'm yours forever. Never fire me. You could put me in the lower decks and only show me twice a year. I'll do it. Like that's, I don't want to be in show business for a career. I have a Monday to Friday 9 to 5. when I got to do that thing in Hollywood with Manu, that was fun. You know, be part of that, you know, go up to the studio, get the makeup on, go be in front of the camera. That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. And I would love to come back and do things like that, you know, periodically. I don't know that I would like to do that for a living, though, because that's a lot.
No, I wouldn't.
That's a lot. I mean, it's
yeah,
fun.
I agree, Mal. I
But
agree.
it's not-
I never liked Tasha's death.
I didn't either.
Yeah, that wasn't. Yeah.
No, but she wanted to be
The
killed
makeup
off.
sucked too.
That was
So
Terrible alien villain.
watch on her face.
Yeah, she actually wanted to be. I think it was actually her that said kill Tasha off.
Oh.
I think it was Denise's idea to kill her off. As far as I can remember from the interviews, yeah, it was her idea to kill Tasha off.
What was the name of that mudslick? What was his name?
Armis.
Armis?
Armis.
Skin of Evil. Was that the name of the
Yep.
episode?
Yeah.
Skin of Evil. And then they brought Armis back in an episode of Lower Decks.
Yes, they did. And they made fun of him. That was they were prank calling him, right? Is that what it was?
Yeah. With
That's
some sort
hilarious.
of like rock or something.
What? Who said that?
Back to the actual episode, though.
Hmm.
There was a big, huge prop oopsididdle that I didn't catch before. See, when Cisco and Dax went to pick up the Ganges, and Cisco's on the T'Lani ship with his tricorder, it's doing its little. It was a dead prop. There were no lights moving on the tricorder at all. I can't believe I never caught that until this recent rewatch.
I never noticed that.
I didn't either. I have to see that again.
Although at the time I was stuffing my face, so that's probably
Yeah, but
why.
no, I looked at it, it's like, it's not moving. It's not blinking. It's not doing anything. It's just stickers. So I guess they used the wrong prop for the final cut.
Good eye.
But maybe the batteries ran out.
The look on Dax's face when she was on the Ganges and found out that somebody requested a beam out minutes after they supposedly died, just like that, just proves like, oh my God, they're alive! Yay! It's just the look of joy on her face.
So yeah,
Go on, Phil. Be honest.
That whole little ending, I thought, are these like the dumbest aliens? First of all, the way it was written, they actually kind of just verbally explain everything that's going on. But I think there was a point, I'd have to see it again. I'd have to watch it. I don't remember exactly what happened. I just watched it this afternoon. Somebody said something. They're like, oh, they're not in that ship. And I literally turned to the screen and just went, well, duh, how dumb are you?
Yeah.
Well, remember, sensors were not working, so they couldn't tell where the life signs were coming from.
Oh,
yeah, well, come on. You know, one minute they're saying, you know, me and Dax have done nothing, you know,
right.
We don't know anything about the harvesters, and then all of a sudden they're, you know, set a collision course and firing and basically committing suicide. Yeah. It's like, really? Seriously? Nah. You would have thought that they'd have tried keeping it, like, I mean, all right, fair enough, the sensors were down, but you would have thought that they would have at least tried to keep a close eye on the ship. Yes, everything was written so conveniently. It was
exactly. Yeah, I thought the same thing.
Yeah, they're running out of time. They got to figure it out.
Yeah. But no, you see, I find that more with, sorry, words. I find that more happening with DS9 than I do with the majority of other Trek. That's one of the reasons that I can't stand DS9 in comparison to other Trek. I love DS9, I do. But a lot of the episodes, like this one, seem very convenient.
And it's not a slight on the episode either. It was just the way it felt very wrapped up quickly at the end, and the way they just sort of verbally explained everything. And I thought it just kind of, it was almost like to end the episode quickly, and it I don't know, it was just, it was like, wow, that was,
we're losing everybody.
Whoops, what?
I just didn't want to be left out, so I did a stop cam too. I was just playing.
Yeah, Katie turned her camera off, and then you turned yours off.
Okay. I have to kind of watch it. I wish I could remember what exactly happened, but I thought it was like, put two and two together. Do you not just see what just happened? Like, dumb are these things?
Yeah, there was a lot of convenience in this episode. Yeah. There was sorry. There was a lot of just, I don't know. Like I said, I love this episode, but it's like Marla said, that it was written with everything too convenient. I mean, they found shelter. It was full of ration packs. It was full of survival equipment. It just so happened to have a console specifically with comms, and it didn't seem to take considering the mess it was in there, as Miles said. He was able to talk. I mean, all right, fair enough. Julian's a genius, but he was able to talk Julian through it with no hitch. There was not one hitch. Julian did absolutely nothing wrong. He didn't question anything. It was just like, right, yeah, I see that, but it could be this one. Which one is right? And it was just, everything was too easy.
It's amazing how, on a similar topic, how Starfleet technology seems to work with just about anything. Like when Laura's trying to get off the Enterprise, something about he could use a phaser to power the transporter, or maybe it was that other guy, the criminal guy. Either way, and when Data's trying to blow up the aqueduct, he's able to open it up with just a few modifications. Communicators can be easily changed into homing beacon. I don't know. I feel like there is a lot of, when it comes to technology, interoperability that seems like it shouldn't work, but it does. I don't know. It is almost a quarter till, and at 7 I have a net, so I do have to get going.
Okay, yeah, I think we pretty much hit every topic that we wanted to. We kind of bounced around the timeline of the episode, so.
Pickleball. We pickleball.
Can you give me the name of next week's again? Just
the shoot from Voyager.
The shoot?
Yes, the Tom and Harry episode where they got convicted for a bombing they didn't do, and so were tried and convicted, and it had Chris Pine's old man as one of the guest actors.
Oh, all right.
That episode, yeah.
What's the season? Do you know?
Season 3 episode. Let's see here.
Because that's helpful when I go to Paramount, because it tells me to pick the season, and if I don't know what season, I end up going through all the episodes until I find it.
Yeah, season 3, episode 3.
Okay, so 33 is all you have to remember. Season 3, episode 3.
All right.
Yeah. But yeah, it's. I think that, I mean, definitely in the third season. I mean, of course, the two of them have already started blossoming friendship, but I think being incarcerated together, that really solidified what they had carried on through the rest of the series. So that's why I decided to go for that one.
I'll probably watch that after the net tonight.
Sandra Bullock movie.
It's a little more fresh in my mind. Yeah.
No. I said I'll probably watch.
Your net. Never mind. You said the net. Yeah, I said the net. I was thinking the movie.
So just
Yeah, I will
for
be doing
future
what I
reference,
always do.
in ham
I'll
radio,
watch
when
the
we have a
episode.
check-in, it's called a net. I don't know why.
Yeah, like I said, extra light blonde with ADHD. So,
No,
yeah,
I've got a
I need to
blonde
get I need to get a
back
trim
my
so I don't
hair
have to wear my hat on the
that
show all the
I
time.
did sing a song.
What was that, Katie?
I've actually got a blonde streak that grows at the back of my hair somewhere. Well, it's not a streak, it's a really weird patch. Long story behind that. But
So, Dave, does the carpet match the drapes?
No,
Hmm.
we could just tell from the face and the hair.
All right.
Yeah.
I love you guys. Sometimes it's hard.
Oh,
You know,
Mala,
things-
Mala,
Sometimes it's
Mala.
very hard being the only girl in the room.
Well, I was going to make a comment about fire crotch, but it doesn't matter now since it doesn't, you know. Anyway.
Yeah, Marley, you need to start coming. You need to start coming on the show because I'm like really outnumbered here.
There's Matt Katie.
He has arrived.
Oh, which reminds me, hang on.
It's upside down.
Chody does a trick. When she is upside down, I want you to look at this. She looks like a wingless fruit bat. See?
She does.
She looks like a fruit bat.
Oh my god.
She's like, why are you humiliating me, Dad?
Yeah, she was
Poor
nice, sleeping nice and soundly.
She said, I don't look like a fruit bat. All right.
I knew it had
Well,
happened.
that's the show, everybody. So
All
live
right.
long and prosper. See you next week. Haley
Cheers.
frequencies are now closed.
All right.
Jules.
Have a good week, everybody.